Gospel for the 7th of December. The community's Action in Solidarity and Association Jesus Solidarity invite you to listen to the Living Gospel. Today, the 7th of December, let us meditate on the Gospel according to Matthew chapter 7, verses 21 and 24 to 27, with commentary from Father Pachi Loide. Proclamation of the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "Not everyone that says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that does the will of my Father who is in heaven, he shall enter into the kingdom of heaven. Everyone therefore that hears my words and does them shall be likened to a wise man that built his house upon a rock. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat upon that house, and it fell not, for it was founded on a rock. And everyone that hears my words and does them not shall be like a foolish man that built his house upon the sand. And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and they beat upon that house, and it collapsed, and was completely ruined." The word of the Lord. Father Pachi's commentary. Dear friends, today's passage is the last of the Sermon on the Mount that occupies chapters 5, 6, and 7 in the Gospel of Matthew. Today's passage is at the end of chapter 7. The center of the passage is the short parable of the building that does not collapse, even if the greatest storm imaginable falls on it, because it is built on a rock. The introduction is a strong warning from Jesus, addressed to those who invoke him but do not do the will of God. It is a well-known saying, "Not everyone who says to me, 'Lord, Lord,' will enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father who is in heaven will enter." This phrase references the will of God. The parable that follows takes the word of God as a reference. Listen to it and put it into practice. Both references say the same thing, and they carry within them a strong criticism of those who pray and do not do the will of God, and those who hear the word but do not put it into practice. The parable is very pedagogical. It talks about two houses, one built on sand, another built on rock. When the storm comes, the house built on sand inevitably collapses. What does building on sand mean? As mentioned previously, it is reading the Word of God and listening to it but not putting it into practice. The house built on rock is the opposite, reading and listening to the Word of God and putting it into practice. Jesus is interested in practice. Matthew underlines it perfectly. Faith is not a religious movement of an intellectual type, study, knowledge, exposition, and writing, but it is a religious movement of a practical type. There can be intellectuals, and it is advisable to have them, but what is essential is faith in practice. This ending of the Sermon on the Mount is accentuated with a comparison of the two houses. Although there are intellectual Christians, and there are powerful ones too, the gospel as a whole is simple. We understand it without great explanations, except for some passages. It is true that grasping its deeper meaning requires further study. But this greater knowledge does not free us from the practice, nor does it make it easier. Knowledge helps those who have the strong will to follow Jesus and pursue his cause with humility. It is possible that the advice before this parable was a criticism against the libertines, the disciples of Paul who interpreted Christian freedom in their own way. As explained by Paul in his letter to the Galatians, the libertines felt free to live without control. But also in this case, the invitation to put the gospel into practice is equally valid. This passage is easy and very good for prayer. It would be helpful to review in prayer with Jesus how our life has been going in recent months. It will help us take a firmer attitude toward Jesus. Prayer. My house. Jesus, is my spiritual house strong? You know better, so make suggestions to me. Does it perhaps have leaks? Are the foundations good? Or have my intimate earthquakes broken them? Am I perhaps living in a ruined house? May your divine breeze visit me. Stop the leakage and inject into my foundations the iron reinforcement that makes them compact. And the angel approaches and tells me, "Come, stop the march of your life. You are rolling at high speed. Stop, because you need time to look into your house and decide." Well, he will help you when you help yourself. My spiritual home. My spiritual home is not just mine. It is also about Jesus and his holy breeze. I did not spawn myself as a human, nor was I conceived as divine. I did not baptize myself. Jesus baptized me with his divine breeze. And a Father blessed me, taking me in his arms, lifting me up to his cheek, and covering me with kisses. This is how my spiritual house began. The two are unified. I have learned to take care of my human home. For many years, I took little care of my spiritual home. Here, they want to teach me. Jesus sends me caregivers. The Holy Breeze guides them. The Father continues to give me his love. And how much do I take advantage of your gifts?